Welcome to Zoe Stories. Brainwashed into becoming a girl. I never expected my closet to become a confession booth. By day, I'm Adrian, 32, methodical, quietly competent. I write technical documentation for a cybersecurity firm, dry diagrams, precise instructions, and a job that requires accuracy without flair. The office is fluorescent and beige and built to swallow personality. I belong there like a silent comma at the end of a sentence. Necessary, small, and easily overlooked. At night, I become something else. That otherness didn't arrive in a single lightning strike. It crept in like perfume seeping under a closed door. I discovered dresses in a secondhand shop during a phase I dared to call, escaping the weight of sameness. It began as curiosity, trying on a soft blouse in a dressing room whose cracked mirror reflected a stranger who smiled back with eyes I'd never let myself use. The sparkle from the necklace, the soft sweep of fabric against my thighs. None of it screamed identity. It whispered possibility. Isabella knows pieces and not the whole. She is a storm in human form. Auburn hair that glows in sunlight, a laugh like breaking glass that somehow warms you, and a job as an illustrator that fills our small apartment with color and half-finished canvases. We met at a gallery opening where she pinched my cheek and called me too serious. I liked that she saw through my practiced calm. We've been together 4 years. She's the flame to my steady wick. She loves me fiercely, sometimes with a gentleness that makes me ache, other times with a bluntness that leaves me exposed. There are arguments about dishes, compromises on weekend plans, and 1,000 small intimacies that feel like home. But I have a private life tucked into the back of our shared wardrobe like a smuggled letter. A rack of clothes that Isabella thinks belong to her old college roommates. Bright skirts, shapely jackets, shoes with heels that click with confidence. I slipped into them when the apartment slept. I learned makeup by watching Isabella's tutorials on mute, copying the subtle curve of liner, the way she powdered her skin before a coffee run. In those stolen hours, I felt honest in ways sobriety would never allow. It was not always sexual. Often it was the collapse of pressure, the chest loosening, the shoulders unclenching, the that-should-be-nonsense giddiness of a small, private rebellion. There is shame folded into the pleasure, too. I keep my cross-dressing carefully compartmentalized because the world is a precarious stage. In our circle, jokes about different types hover at parties. My father, a retired school principal, still believes men should be unfussy. I once imagined telling Isabella everything in one theatrical spill. Instead, I rehearsed confessions and swallowed them whole. So I invented rules. Never wear anything outside the apartment, never leave traces on the bed, never mix the lives. That neatness lasted until the day the box arrived. The courier left it on the landing, unmarked, no signature required. Inside was a slim device, a glossy black capsule the size of a TV remote and a folded note, for the one who refuses to be seen. No return address. No sender. The capsule clicked when I pressed it, and for reasons I still can't explain, I slipped it into my pocket instead of tossing it in the trash. I told myself it was curiosity. I told myself I'd ask Isabella at breakfast. Then I forgot to mention it. I told myself 100 things. Isabella's relationship with secrets is different from mine. She is the kind of person who will find a missing earring in the couch cushions without calling it luck. She adores honesty and despises games. That's one reason I love her. She can cut through indecision like a switchblade. But that knife also means my small concealments feel heavier around her. Sometimes I imagine telling her at a quiet moment, just the two of us lying against the headboard, words gentle and framed with love. Other times the image of her expression, disappointed, puzzled, hurt, keeps me from opening my mouth. Work matters in a way I rarely admit. My job is routine, but important. The cybersecurity projects we manage splash across corporate systems and sometimes brush into the kind of people who prefer secrets remain secret. I have learned to be careful with language and data. Patterns become second nature. Which is why the anonymous parcel unsettled me. It was both intrusion and challenge. Who would know about my wardrobe? Who would notice the curve of a heel or an extra brush in the sink? The possibilities that had once felt like stolen warmth began to look like vulnerabilities. That evening, a storm rolled in. The city outside blurred into the smear of headlights and umbrellas. In our apartment, the lights were low, and the canvases leaned like sleeping animals. Isabella had stayed late at the studio, promising to bring home a new piece. The apartment smelled faintly of turpentine and coffee. My hands fumbled with the capsule again, drew the thin strip of paper tucked beside it. There was nothing on the page but 3 words: trust the experiment. A small laugh escaped me, a laugh that bordered on a nervous thing. Experiment what?
Who sent it?
Those questions scraped at the edges of my composure. I set rules again. Don't press it until Isabella is gone for the night. Don't let curiosity become a headlong leap. But curiosity has a way of unfastening cautious belts. The capsule glinted like a dare in the dim light. I knew, in that private space between breath and decision, that everything pivoted from the moment I chose to use it. That night, the apartment became a theater of small acts. I closed the door with more noise than necessary, as if I wanted to convince myself the world outside was shutting away. I pulled my secret clothes from the back of the wardrobe, each piece a quiet collaborator in my transformation. The blouse slid over my skin and felt like a promise. The skirt swayed in a rhythm my body remembered, but my mind only occasionally acknowledged. I placed the capsule on the dresser and turned it over with a careful index finger motion of someone defusing a bomb. It was lightweight and dangerous in a way I couldn't name. If confession is a slow unbuttoning, then the evening was the first undone button. Makeup brushes, the soft hush of powder, the tentative tilt of mascara, each stroke felt more like an arrival than a mask. For a while I forgot about the capsule entirely. I stood before the mirror and did not recognize the person who smiled back, smaller in some ways, luminous in others. I was not merely someone wearing clothes. I was someone becoming possible. Somewhere between the final swipe of lipstick and the steadying breath I took to admire the change, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number popped up. Did you accept? The text was a single thread connecting anonymity to my private life. I pinned my nails against the vanity as if to remind myself I existed in more than secret. The answer would push everything forward. It would ask me whether I wanted safety or surrender. Would I press the capsule and step completely into the unexpected, or would I tuck the device back into anonymity and carry on with the familiar half-truths of my life? Isabella's key jiggled in the lock downstairs early. The sound sliced through the room like cold water. My heart found a new tempo. The mirror watched me, 2 faces at once, one I lived in publicly and one I held like contraband. I had a handful of choices, and none of them felt like mine. The decision that arrives in an apartment when someone you love walks through the door is never only about you. It is about what you are willing to risk for the small, necessary daring of being honest with yourself, and about how far you will go when curiosity knocks with a stranger's voice. I pressed the capsule. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. Not in a dramatic, movie-like way, just a quiet, unsettling awareness that something about me was off. The sheets felt softer against my skin. My pajamas, well, Isabella's pajamas, clung a little tighter than I remembered. When I sat up, the silky fabric slid down my shoulders, and for a second, I froze. My skin looked smoother, lighter, like it had been airbrushed overnight. I ran my hand over my chest and stopped. There wasn't much, but there was something. A faint, tender swelling under my fingertips. No way. I stumbled into the bathroom, flipping on the light. My reflection stared back, a familiar shape but altered. My jaw looked softer, my lashes darker, and my lips had this faint pink hue, like I'd applied gloss. I rubbed at them, but the color stayed. My heart started pounding. "What the hell?" I whispered, gripping the sink. Isabella must have heard the panic in my voice because she appeared at the door, still in her robe, hair tied back, looking calm. Too calm. "Morning," she said, sipping her coffee. "Sleep well?" I pointed at the mirror. "What's going on? Did you do something?" She tilted her head. "You're imagining things. Maybe it's the lighting." "The lighting?" I gestured wildly at my reflection. My face doesn't look like this. She stepped closer, her expression unreadable. Relax, Nathan. It's probably stress. You've been working a lot lately. Her tone was so smooth, so disarming, that for a brief second, I doubted myself. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was overreacting. But when she turned away, I caught her smirk in the mirror, a small, knowing curve of her lips that made my stomach twist. Throughout the day, I tried to shake it off. I went to work, wore a mask of normalcy, pretended nothing was wrong. But I caught glimpses of myself in every reflective surface. The subtle changes were there. My hair seemed shinier, my posture different, my voice a touch softer. I told myself it was fatigue. Maybe the lighting. Maybe my brain. That night, when I got home, Isabella was waiting with dinner. She'd made pasta, candles lit, soft music playing like a date. "You're in a good mood," I said carefully, sitting across from her. "I just thought we should have a nice evening," she replied, twirling her fork. "You've been tense lately. I can tell." The way she said it, calm, caring, but with a trace of something else, sent a chill down my spine. I tried to focus on eating, but I couldn't ignore how her eyes kept drifting over me, studying me like an experiment. Halfway through dinner, she reached across the table and brushed something off my cheek. "You really should moisturize," she said softly. "Your skin is changing. It needs care." "My skin is changing?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She smiled faintly. "Everyone's does in time." The rest of the night was a blur of tension. When I went to bed, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, that strange tingling still under my skin. I could almost feel it, something moving, reshaping, rewriting me from the inside out. At around 3 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I went back to the bathroom, turned on the harsh light, and just stared. My cheekbones higher, my jawline softer. Even my eyes looked different, wider, more expressive. I pressed my palms against the mirror and whispered, "This isn't happening." Behind me, I heard the faint sound of a door creaking open. Isabella's voice floated through the dark hallway, gentle, almost melodic. Still awake, I turned, heart hammering. She was standing there, half lit by the bathroom glow. "Something's wrong with me," I said. Her smile deepened. "No, Nathan. Something's finally right." She stepped closer, her perfume surrounding me, her voice sinking into my mind like silk. "You'll understand soon. Just trust me." Before I could respond, she reached up and touched my cheek. Her fingers were warm, almost electric. For a moment, my panic vanished. My thoughts went hazy, soft. Her words echoed through me. "Just trust me." I blinked, and the next thing I knew, I was in bed again, my body heavy, my mind foggy. The world blurred into darkness. When morning came, the pillowcase smelled faintly of her perfume. I sat up slowly, and when the sunlight hit me, my breath caught. My nails, slightly longer, shinier. My chest a little fuller. My features, undeniably different. And yet, when I looked at myself, there was something terrifyingly familiar in those changes. Like part of me recognized what I was becoming. The following days felt like a strange dream I couldn't wake from. Each morning brought something new, something small but impossible to ignore. My shirts fit tighter across my chest. My jeans clung differently around my hips. My once flat stomach now curved ever so slightly. It wasn't sudden, no lightning bolt moment of change. It was slow, steady, like sand slipping through fingers. Every glance in the mirror became a confrontation with someone I didn't recognize but couldn't look away from. I tried convincing myself it was stress, hormones, or maybe an allergic reaction to something Isabella had in the house. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Something unnatural was happening. The strangest part was how Isabella acted like everything was perfectly normal. She kept smiling, offering advice, encouraging me to embrace self-care. "Take this supplement," she'd say, sliding a glass of pink liquid toward me every morning. "It's good for your health." "What's in it?" I asked one morning, eyeing the glass suspiciously. She laughed softly. Just vitamins. Trust me. Her words were honey-coated, her tone confident. Against my better judgment, I drank it. The flavor was sweet, too sweet, like something hiding beneath a pleasant surface. Within hours, the warmth returned under my skin. I'd feel lightheaded, flushed, my heartbeat racing. By the time evening came, I'd notice another change. My shoulders looked narrower, my hands delicate, my face almost beautiful. Any night, after a long shower, I stood in front of the mirror, wrapped in a towel. The steam fogged up the glass, and when I wiped it away, I froze. The reflection staring back wasn't Nathan anymore. It was something in between. My lips were fuller, my eyes framed by naturally dark lashes, my collarbones prominent. I looked softer, gentler, feminine. Panic hit me like a wave. I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture, then another. My trembling hands could barely hold steady. When I compared them to older photos, the difference was undeniable. I stormed out of the bathroom, searching for Isabella. She was in her study, calmly reading, like nothing was happening. "What's going on?" I demanded, holding up my phone. "Look at me. I'm changing." She glanced up, her eyes glinting. "You're beautiful," she said simply. "Don't play games with me," I shouted. "What did you give me? What's in those drinks?" She sighed and set the book down. "Nathan, why do you always assume the worst? I told you, it's just part of the process." "What process?" I snapped. She stood, slowly crossing the room toward me. "The process of letting go, of becoming who you were meant to be." Her words made no sense, but the way she said them, calm, hypnotic, made my knees weak. She stopped inches from me, her hand brushing a strand of hair from my forehead. I realized with a jolt that my hair had grown, longer, softer, brushing against my neck. She smiled faintly. "You used to make fun of women for how long they took to get ready. Maybe now you'll understand." My voice cracked. "You can't do this to me." "But it's already happening," she whispered. "You can't stop it anymore." I backed away, shaking my head. My breath came faster, my chest tightening with fear. I ran to my room, locked the door, and leaned against it, trembling. That night, I dreamt of voices, soft, feminine whispers calling my name. I saw flashes of faces, unfamiliar but oddly comforting. And through it all, Isabella's voice echoed. "You're becoming her. You just don't see it yet." When I woke, the clock read 4:12 a.m. My room was dark except for the faint glow of the moonlight. I swung my legs off the bed and caught sight of my silhouette in the mirror across the room. The outline of my body looked wrong. Slender. Curved. I turned on the light and gasped. My chest, rounder. My hips, wider. My throat, smooth, no hint of stubble. My Adam's apple had all but vanished. I stumbled backward, gripping the wall. No, this isn't real. I tore open drawers, searching for my old clothes. My favorite t-shirt, too tight. My jeans, impossible to zip. It was like my entire wardrobe was mocking me. I ended up pulling on a hoodie and sweatpants, hiding as much of myself as I could. But even then, I felt wrong. The fabric brushed against skin that wasn't mine. Later that morning, I confronted Isabella again. She was in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. I slammed the glass bottle of her so-called vitamins onto the counter. "What's in this?" I demanded. She turned slowly, her expression unreadable. "Would you believe me if I told you it's magic?" I blinked. "Magic? What kind of sick joke?" She leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "The kind that shows people who they truly are." I stared at her, speechless. My mind screamed that she was insane, but somewhere deep inside, part of me wondered if she was right. She pushed the glass back toward me. "You can stop now if you want, but then you'll stay incomplete." Incomplete. She smiled, a soft, chilling smile. "You're halfway there, Nathan. Don't you want to see who you really are?" Her words echoed in my head long after I stormed out. I wanted to hate her, to accuse her of poisoning me, manipulating me. But each time I looked at my reflection, the panic wavered. Beneath the shock, something else stirred. A strange, forbidden curiosity. The next few days blurred into a strange haze of denial and temptation. Every time I promised myself I'd stop drinking the pink liquid, Isabella would leave it sitting innocently on the counter, glowing faintly under the morning light, its sweetness whispering just one more sip. And somehow I always did. I told myself it was to test her, to collect evidence, to prove she was doing something unnatural. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. There was a part of me that wanted to see what would happen next. I'd stand in front of the mirror, touching my reflection like I could wake up from the nightmare. The face staring back was undeniably mine, yet softer, prettier, and hauntingly unfamiliar. My hair now brushed against my neck, my lips naturally tinted with a rosy hue. Even the way I carried myself had changed. My steps felt lighter. My voice, when I spoke aloud, had taken on a melodic tone that scared me more than anything. It wasn't just physical. My emotions were shifting too. Little things affected me differently. Sad songs made me tear up. Romantic scenes in movies made my heart ache in ways I couldn't explain. Was I losing myself or discovering someone else inside me? One evening, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring blankly at the wall. Isabella entered quietly, her presence filling the room like perfume. "You haven't been sleeping," she said softly. "I can't," I muttered. "I don't even know who I am anymore." She sat beside me, her hand brushing mine. I should have pulled away, but I didn't. Her touch was warm, grounding, like she was the only thing keeping me from floating away. "You're fighting it too hard," she whispered. "That's why it hurts." I turned to her sharply. "You did this to me, Isabella. You're brainwashing me." She didn't flinch.
"No, Nathan."
"I'm freeing you." Her calmness unnerved me more than anger would have. I wanted to scream, to break something, to make her feel the chaos tearing through me. But her eyes, steady, compassionate, made me falter. "Do you really think this is who I'm supposed to be?" I asked, my voice trembling. She smiled faintly. "Look at you. The world made you hide behind a mask your whole life. I just helped you take it off." I shook my head. "You're insane." "Maybe," she said. "But deep down, you know I'm right." Her words lingered long after she left. That night, I tossed and turned, haunted by memories. My father's disappointed stares. My coworkers' laughter when I once accidentally used a women's shampoo brand. All the times I'd buried my softer instincts because I thought they made me weak. What if Isabella was right? What if the man I thought I was had always been a lie? The next morning I woke up late. The sunlight poured across the room in gentle waves. My clothes, the few that still fit, lay neatly folded on the dresser. But beside them was something new, a simple white dress. I froze. Isabella's handwriting was on a note pinned to it. "You'll feel better when you stop pretending." I stared at the dress for a long time. My pulse thudded in my ears. Every rational thought screamed, "Don't do it." But my hands moved on their own. The fabric was soft, almost weightless. As I pulled it over my body, it hugged my curves perfectly, sliding into place like it had been made for me. I caught sight of myself in the mirror and gasped. For the first time, I didn't look like a man trying to wear women's clothes. I looked real. Beautiful even. Tears stung my eyes before I could stop them. I didn't understand if they were tears of grief or relief. When Isabella appeared in the doorway, her eyes softened. "You see it now, don't you?" I wanted to yell, to rip the dress off, to reject her calm certainty, but I couldn't. My throat tightened. I couldn't find the words. She stepped closer, her fingers gently brushing my cheek. "It's not brainwashing if it feels like coming home." Her words were poison wrapped in silk. I hated how they made sense. The following days slipped further into blurred reality. I started hearing whispers, my own voice, feminine, soft, echoing in my head when I wasn't speaking. Sometimes, when I looked in the mirror, that voice would whisper back, "You look perfect." I stopped fighting the routine. I drank the pink liquid every morning. I wore the clothes Isabella left out for me. Makeup followed naturally, mascara, lip tint, a touch of blush. The motions became muscle memory like I'd been doing them for years. One night, Isabella watched me apply lipstick in front of the mirror. "You're trembling less," she said with a smile. I forced a laugh. "Guess you've finally broken me." She tilted her head. "Or maybe I've helped you find yourself." Her gaze met mine in the mirror. "Do you like what you see?" I hesitated, staring at the reflection. Long lashes, shining eyes, soft pink lips. My heart pounded. I don't know." She leaned in close, her breath warm against my ear. "You will." That whisper sent shivers down my spine. Later, lying awake in bed, I realized I hadn't thought of escaping in days. My phone was full of messages from friends I hadn't replied to. Work emails piled up. The world outside had stopped mattering. All that existed was this house, Isabella, and the girl in the mirror. The girl who was slowly taking my place. Days stretched into weeks. I stopped keeping track of time. The house felt timeless, like reality itself had slowed down around me. Isabella stopped pushing. She didn't have to anymore. The resistance that once burned inside me was now a quiet ember, flickering weakly. I followed her routine without question. Drink the pink tonic in the morning.
Dress.
Smile. Speak softly. Move gracefully. The strange part was that I wanted to. I told myself it was easier, that I was only playing along until I figured out how to reverse whatever she'd done. But each time I looked in the mirror, that lie became harder to believe. The person staring back wasn't Nathan anymore. She was someone else. Someone confident, poised, and disturbingly serene. One morning, I woke to the sound of soft music echoing through the house. It wasn't anything I recognized, just a slow, hypnotic rhythm that made my heartbeat sync with its pulse. I followed it, half dreaming, down the hall into the living room. Isabella stood there, wearing a silk robe, her hair tied up elegantly. She smiled when she saw me, like a teacher proud of her favorite student. "Good morning, darling," she said. The word darling slipped under my skin like electricity. "Morning," I murmured automatically, my voice higher than ever. "Do you remember the first time you mocked me for taking time to get ready?" she asked with a faint smirk. I frowned, embarrassed. "Yeah, I guess I was kind of an ass." She chuckled softly. "You were. But now you understand, don't you?" My heart thudded. I nodded before realizing it. "Yes." She motioned to the vanity beside her. On it were brushes, palettes, and lipsticks arranged neatly, like instruments of ritual. "Sit," she instructed. My legs obeyed before my brain could argue. For the next hour, she guided me through every step, how to contour, how to highlight, how to soften sharp angles. Her hands were steady, her voice low and soothing. Each instruction wrapped around my thoughts, sinking deeper. "Good," she murmured as I followed. "Now look at yourself." I looked. The face that looked back was flawless. Feminine.
Soft.
My own features erased under layers of perfection. A tremor ran through me. "This isn't me," I whispered. She leaned in close, her reflection merging with mine. "It's always been you. I just showed you what you refused to see." Her words sank like stones in water, heavy, unavoidable. After that morning, the lines between choice and command blurred. I began referring to myself differently without realizing it. When I texted a delivery driver, I signed off with a feminine emoji. When I spoke to Isabella, my voice automatically lifted at the end of sentences. It was subtle, but the shift was real. Even my thoughts started to change. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking in phrases like, "Does this look cute?" Or, "She'll be proud if I do this right." The more I tried to resist, the foggier my mind became. I'd find myself spacing out, hearing Isabella's voice in my head even when she wasn't there. "Relax. Smile. Be who you were meant to be." At first, I thought it was my imagination. But one night, while brushing my hair in front of the mirror, I heard her voice clearly, though she was nowhere in sight. "Good girl." The brush froze in my hand. "Isabella?" I called out, my heart racing. No answer. Only silence. I set the brush down, trembling. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe that was her real plan. to make me doubt myself until I believed her version of reality. But when I closed my eyes, I could feel her presence, like invisible fingers brushing against my thoughts. And with that touch came a strange warmth, comforting and terrifying at once. Later that week, she invited me to dinner. We sat across from each other at the candlelit table. She poured wine into my glass and watched me with those calm, calculating eyes. "How do you feel?" she asked softly. I hesitated. "Different. Do you feel happier?" I swallowed. The truth slipped out before I could censor it.
Yes.
"But it's not real happiness, is it? You made me this way." She smiled, her expression gentle but unyielding. "You give me too much credit. I didn't make you anything. I just guided you to what was already there." Her hand slid across the table, covering mine. "You fought because you were afraid. But fear always comes before rebirth." "Rebirth?" I echoed, half in disbelief. She nodded. "You've been running from yourself for years. The anger, the guilt, the sarcasm. All of it was armor. But look at you now, you don't need it anymore." Her voice softened. "Do you remember the last time you felt free, Nathan?" The name felt foreign when she said it. I hesitated before answering.
No.
"Exactly," she said, smiling faintly.
That's why you needed me.
Something broke inside me then, not in anger, but surrender. I didn't agree with her, but I didn't fight her either. For the rest of the evening, I let her lead the conversation. I laughed when she did. I blushed when she complimented me. And when she called me beautiful again, I didn't correct her. That night, as I lay in bed, I realized something terrifying. The man I used to be, Nathan, was fading. Not erased, but overwritten. Each passing day, each repeated affirmation, each dose of that pink liquid was rewriting who I was. And the scariest part? It didn't feel wrong anymore. I found myself whispering softly before sleep took me. "I'm not Nathan anymore, am I?" And in the quiet, I thought I heard Isabella's voice answer, barely a whisper. "No, my dear. You're becoming her." The transformation had reached a point where I no longer recognized time, my thoughts, or even my own reflection as belonging to the same person. Days bled together in a soft, pastel haze of lipstick stains and perfume-scented air. My reflection, once a foreign sight, had become my only comfort. I moved through each day automatically, like a doll carefully wound up every morning. My voice, once deep and commanding, now carried a smooth melody that no longer startled me. My body obeyed effortlessly to new instincts, crossed legs, soft hand gestures, tilted head when listening. I didn't have to think about it anymore. And that was the most terrifying part. One evening, Isabella entered my room holding a small silver box. "It's time," she said simply. My stomach tightened. "For what?" She smiled faintly. "For the final step. You've been resisting pieces of yourself, even now. But after tonight, you'll be free of that conflict." "I don't understand," I said, though some part of me already did. She opened the box, revealing a sleek pair of earbuds connected to a small device. "Lie down," she instructed softly. I hesitated. "What is that?" "Just a guided session," she said. "Something to help your mind align with your new self. You've come so far, but your thoughts still cling to the past. This will help you forget the parts that hurt." The word forget echoed in my mind like a bell. Every rational instinct screamed at me to run, to fight, to break free. But then she added, "You'll finally feel peace." And peace was something I hadn't felt in months. So I nodded. She dimmed the lights and guided me onto the bed. The earbuds slipped into my ears, and soft music began to play. Slow, hypnotic, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Then came her voice, not from across the room, but from inside my head. "Breathe in," she whispered, "and exhale slowly. You've carried so much pain, Nathan." The sound of my old name struck me like a blade. "Let it go," she continued. "That name doesn't serve you anymore. It's heavy. It hurts. It's time to release it." I closed my eyes, my breathing matching her rhythm. "With every breath," she said, "you're letting go of the past. The confusion. The fear. You're shedding the old you like an old skin. What remains is truth.
Purity.
Beauty. My body relaxed despite my panic. I tried to lift my arm, but it felt too heavy. My mind screamed for me to stop listening, but my heart, my body, my soul obeyed her voice. You don't need to be strong anymore, she whispered. You just need to be you. Images began to fill my mind, memories rewritten by her voice. I saw myself smiling in dresses, laughing with her, applying makeup with ease. Each memory felt real, though I knew they weren't. Nathan was a mask, she said gently. You don't need him anymore. You've always been her. Let her breathe. Her. That word struck something deep within me, something both terrifying and comforting. Her voice lowered, wrapping around my thoughts like silk. Say it with me, she whispered. I am her. I fought to resist. My lips trembled. Say it, she repeated. I am her. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Good girl, she murmured. Again. I am her. My heartbeat slowed. My thoughts blurred. Each repetition felt like another piece of myself dissolving into the fog. Soon, I couldn't remember why I'd ever resisted. When I woke up, morning light spilled through the curtains. The earbuds were gone. Isabella sat beside me, smiling softly. How do you feel? She asked. Light, I whispered. Peaceful. She nodded. Do you remember your name? My lips parted. I tried to speak, but Nathan wouldn't come out. It was like the word had been erased from my tongue. I don't know, I said weakly. She brushed a strand of hair from my face. That's okay. You don't need it anymore. Her hand tilted my chin up. Look at yourself. I turned toward the mirror. The girl staring back at me was breathtaking. Long hair cascaded over bare shoulders. My lips were pink and full, my skin glowing with life. I didn't even flinch this time. Who are you? Isabella asked softly. I stared into my reflection. My voice came out smooth, gentle, unrecognizable. I'm her. Isabella's smile widened. Exactly. Tears welled in my eyes, though I couldn't tell if they were from joy or despair. The next few days passed in surreal calm. Isabella no longer needed to guide me. I moved through her world seamlessly. I laughed easily, spoke softly, smiled when she expected me to. She began calling me by a new name, Nadia. At first, I resisted it internally, but soon it became second nature. Nadia, come help me with dinner. Yes, Isabella. Nadia, you look lovely today. Thank you. The scary thing was how right it felt to hear it. Each time she said that name, it resonated through me like a melody I'd always known. One evening, as we sat by the fire, she looked at me thoughtfully. You understand now, don't you? She asked. I nodded. I think so. You used to fight me, she said, her tone calm but firm. You thought I was brainwashing you, but I was only helping you see the truth. I met her eyes. And the truth is? She smiled. The truth is that you were never meant to be Nathan. You were meant to be Nadia, my beautiful girl. Something in her voice made my heart flutter. I should have been terrified, but I wasn't. Instead, I whispered, I believe you. Her expression softened into a smile of triumph and tenderness. Good girl. The words washed over me like warmth. That night, as I looked at myself in the mirror one last time, I barely remembered the man I'd been. The memories were there somewhere, faint and distant, like someone else's dream. And yet, deep inside, a quiet voice whispered, this isn't over. Somewhere beyond the fog of submission, a tiny spark of who I used to be flickered, waiting for a chance to rise again. But for now, as I brushed my long hair and smiled softly at my reflection, I whispered the words Isabella had taught me. I am her. And for the first time, I didn't doubt them. I didn't remember falling asleep that night, but I remembered waking up. The morning sunlight spilled into my room like liquid gold, and for a few seconds, everything felt normal. My room was quiet, the faint scent of coffee wafting from downstairs. But something tugged at my awareness, something strange. When I stretched my arms above my head, I felt the silky brush of fabric glide along my skin. My eyes shot open. I wasn't wearing the t-shirt I had fallen asleep in. Instead, I was in a pale pink nightgown, soft, feminine, and sheer. My heart dropped to my stomach. What the hell? I gasped, pushing back the blanket. The nightgown slipped down my shoulders, exposing smooth, bare skin. Skin that wasn't mine. My arms looked slimmer, delicate. My chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, and my hair was long, dark, and spilling down my chest like ink. I stumbled out of bed, my legs trembling, the unfamiliar sway of my body making me dizzy. My voice cracked as I whispered, This can't be happening. I turned toward the mirror and froze. The reflection staring back wasn't me. It was Isabella. No. My face was framed by the same long dark hair. My lips were full, trembling slightly. My eyes, those brown eyes, looked terrified, but they were mine now. Every blink, every breath, every shudder confirmed it. I touched my face, and the reflection mimicked me perfectly. I backed away, shaking. No, this is some kind of dream. It's not real. But it felt real. Too real. The cold floor under my feet, the tightness in my chest, the light fabric of the nightgown brushing my thighs. Everything screamed reality. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I lunged for it, hoping, praying for some rational explanation. The screen lit up with a notification. From unknown number. Good morning, Isabella. You're finally ready. My blood turned to ice. The text was followed by a photo. I opened it with trembling hands. It was me, sleeping in the nightgown, my long hair spread across the pillow. The message continued. Don't fight it. You wished for popularity, didn't you? Everyone will adore you now. I dropped the phone, my stomach twisting in panic. That wish. The one I had made jokingly weeks ago. I wish I could be popular like Isabella. I'd said it without meaning to. But could this really be connected? My thoughts were spiraling when I heard footsteps outside the door. Light, confident, almost cheerful. The door creaked open, and Isabella walked in. Only, it wasn't her. It was me. My old face. My body. My voice. Morning, she said, with a teasing smile that didn't belong to me anymore. You look beautiful today. I stumbled backward, hitting the edge of the dresser. What did you do to me? She stepped closer, the smirk growing. Do? Oh, I didn't do anything. You wanted this, remember? You wanted to be me.
Popular. Perfect.
Loved. She tilted her head. Now you are. No, I whispered. Change me back. Please. Change you back, she laughed softly. But I like it this way. You get to see what it's like being admired, being envied. And I get to see what it's like to be invisible for once. Her tone shifted, soft but menacing. Don't ruin it. I felt tears sting my eyes. My reflection in the mirror looked broken, helpless, and undeniably female. The longer I stared, the less I recognized the person inside. Isabella, or whatever she had become, leaned closer, her lips near my ear. You're not fighting it anymore, are you? You're starting to like it. Her words hit me like a curse, because somewhere deep inside, a part of me didn't want to fight. A part of me was starting to accept this, the soft skin, the delicate voice, the way the world looked through these eyes. I swallowed hard, my voice trembling. You can't do this. You can't steal my life. She smiled, a slow, haunting smile. Watch me. Then she turned and walked out, closing the door behind her. I stood there, trembling, staring into the mirror. The girl staring back wasn't me, but she was becoming me. And for the first time, I wasn't sure which one of us was real anymore. When I woke the next morning, the world had already rewritten itself. My phone, my ID, even the framed photo on my nightstand. Everything said Isabella. There was no trace of me left. My heart pounded as I scrolled through my messages. Every contact had changed, my friends, my teachers, even my mom's number now saved me as Bella. Panic clawed at my chest. I rushed to my laptop and searched for my social media accounts, but my old profiles were gone, replaced by ones full of selfies of me smiling in dresses, attending parties, laughing with people I didn't recognize. And the comments, "You're glowing as always, Bella. Queen of the group. Can't believe you were ever shy." I wasn't shy. I was me. But whoever I used to be, no one remembered him anymore. I threw on a hoodie, trying to hide my face, and ran out of the house. Maybe anyone could see what was happening. The cold air bit at my legs, and I realized too late that the hoodie barely covered the short skirt I hadn't meant to wear. People stared as I passed. Some smiled, some waved. A few whispered, "Isabella," as if greeting an old friend. I reached the park near my old school, my safe place once, and spotted Ethan, my best friend. Relief hit me like a wave. "Ethan," I called out, breathless. He turned and smiled like he was seeing a stranger. "Hey, Bella. You okay?" I froze. "It's me, man, it's me." He frowned. I think you've got the wrong person." My chest constricted. "No, it's me. We used to play games, hack old servers, hang out in your garage." Ethan took a step back. "You're scaring me, Bella." The way he said my new name felt final.
Permanent.
Like my old life was being erased with every syllable. I tried again, my voice trembling. "Please, Ethan, you know me." But before I could finish, his phone buzzed. He looked down and smiled faintly. "Hey, Isabella," he said, showing me a photo. It was a selfie of me and him, laughing together in front of a mirror. "Didn't we just hang out last week?" My breath caught. In the photo, I was dressed in a tight pink top, pouting for the camera. That wasn't me. It couldn't be me. He waved goodbye casually, walking off as if nothing was wrong, leaving me trembling in the middle of the park. Invisible, replaced, rewritten. As the sky darkened, I wandered home in a daze. My reflection followed me in every window, long hair bouncing, skirt swaying, eyes wide with fear. Inside my room, the walls had changed. Posters of bands I once loved were gone, replaced by fashion photos, perfume ads, and vanity lights glowing softly. My desk had makeup brushes instead of tools. My hoodie had been replaced by blouses, dresses, and heels lined up perfectly in the closet. A voice echoed in my head. Isabella's voice. "You wanted to be me. You wanted everyone to see you." Tears blurred my vision. I whispered, "Not like this." But my reflection only smiled faintly, tilting her head, the same way Isabella used to. I collapsed on the bed, clutching my head, the confusion and horror blending into something else, something darker. Because the longer I stayed here, the more that voice inside whispered things I couldn't ignore. Things like, maybe you were never really him. Maybe this was who you were meant to be. And beneath all the fear, a part of me almost believed it. The next morning, I woke up before dawn. I hadn't slept much. How could I? Every corner of my room mocked me with feminine perfection. The pastel curtains, the perfume bottles, the delicate lace nightgown that clung to me like a second skin. I needed proof. Something, anything. To prove I wasn't Isabella. I sat in front of my laptop, trembling hands typing into the search bar. How to prove identity change. But the moment I hit enter, the results all related to beauty transformations, confidence building, or, worse, embracing your new self. It was like the internet itself was gaslighting me. I opened my email. My old account was gone. In its place, a new inbox flooded with sponsorship offers, modeling invites, and fan messages. Apparently, Bella had thousands of followers on social media. I clicked on one of the messages from a fashion brand. "Dear Bella, we're thrilled to collaborate again. You've been an inspiration for so many girls exploring confidence and identity. You're a role model." My heart sank. Again? This wasn't a one-time glitch. This was a rewritten timeline. Desperate, I decided to record a video. Maybe if I captured myself saying the truth, someone would finally listen. I set up my phone, pressed record, and stared at the screen. "My name is..." I stopped. The words wouldn't come out. Every time I tried to say my real name, something inside me seized up, like an invisible hand pressing against my throat. "My name is Isabella." No. I slammed the phone down. That's not me. Tears burned my eyes. I turned on my camera again, shouting into the lens. This isn't who I am. I was a guy. The recording stopped on its own. When I replayed it, my voice was calm, cheerful, and terrifyingly different. Hey, everyone. Bella here again, can't wait to share my new makeup tutorial. My stomach dropped. I hadn't said that. The phone buzzed. A new notification appeared. Video uploaded successfully. 10,432 views. I froze. My hands went cold as I opened the app. The video was live, and the comments were pouring in. You're glowing, Bella. Can't wait for the next one. This girl's confidence is unreal. I stared in horror. The world wasn't just ignoring me, it was celebrating my erasure. That's when Isabella's perfume filled the room. I turned around, but no one was there. Still, I could feel her presence, whispering in my mind, silky and cruel. Why are you fighting it? Everyone loves you this way. Isn't this what you wanted? Attention, admiration, beauty? I grabbed the perfume bottle from the dresser and hurled it across the room. It shattered, and the scent thickened, almost suffocating. I ran downstairs, searching for something normal, something real. The family portrait on the wall had changed. My parents stood proudly beside her, the beautiful, smiling daughter they'd never had. I pressed my shaking hands to the frame. No, I'm your son. You loved me. You. Footsteps approached. My mother's voice called softly from the kitchen. Bella? Sweetheart, are you crying again? I turned, my voice breaking. Mom, it's me. I'm your. But she just smiled, wiping her hands on a towel. You've always been emotional, darling. It's part of your charm. She reached out to adjust a strand of my hair. You're so beautiful when you stop overthinking. I stepped back, trembling. You don't remember me, do you? Her smile faltered for just a second, then returned, softer, eerier. Of course I do, Bella. I've always had a daughter. Don't say strange things like that. I backed away, panic rising. This isn't real. You're all being. Then I heard it again. Isabella's voice, this time directly in my mind, calm and commanding. You're confusing them. Stop resisting, Bella. I clutched my head, shouting, Get out of my mind. But the whisper only grew gentler. You don't need to fight. Just breathe. Smile. Be who you were meant to be. My mother looked frightened now. Honey, should I call Dr. Lee? You seemed upset. Dr. Lee? The name triggered something. I'd never met any Dr. Lee. But the whisper in my head said, Yes, Bella. He's the one who helped you become who you are. My world tilted. I ran out of the house, barefoot, tears streaming, mascara smudging across my face, her face, and I realized I didn't even remember putting it on. As I reached the street, people waved, called out, Hi, Bella, like nothing was wrong. Every voice around me repeated the name, over and over, until it no longer sounded foreign. Until it sounded like me. By the time I reached Dr. Lee's office, the rain had started. Thin, misty drops blurred the world into gray shapes. I didn't remember how I knew the address. It was like the information had been planted in my head. A glowing sign above the building read, Lee Institute for Cognitive Reconditioning. It sounded clinical, harmless. But something deep inside me screamed that this was where everything began. I pushed open the door. The scent of lavender and antiseptic filled the air. The receptionist looked up, a woman in a white coat, smiling a little too perfectly. Hello, Miss Isabella, she said without hesitation. You're early for your follow-up session. My throat tightened. I'm not Isabella. Her expression didn't change, but her tone softened like she was speaking to a confused child. We've been through this, sweetheart. Sit tight. Dr. Lee will see you soon. I took a seat, trembling. The walls were lined with softly humming machines and framed photos of smiling women, all looking eerily similar. I couldn't shake the feeling I knew some of those faces, but in ways that didn't make sense, as if they were fragments of people I'd once met in another life. The door opened, and a man in his 50s stepped out. Calm eyes, neat hair, a voice that slid into your mind like silk. "Isabella," he greeted warmly. "Or should I say the part of you still resisting?" I stood, voice breaking. "What have you done to me?" He smiled faintly. "We've done what you asked for." "I never asked for this." He motioned for me to follow him inside. Against my will, my legs obeyed. Inside his office, the lights dimmed automatically, and a faint hum filled the air, low, rhythmic, hypnotic. "Please," I said, clutching my head. "Just tell me what's happening." He leaned back in his chair, hands clasped. "You signed up for a cognitive trial 6 months ago. Experimental neurotherapy. You said you wanted freedom from guilt, fear, self-loathing. You said you wanted to start over, as someone completely new." My breath caught. "That's not true. I'd never." He pressed a button on his tablet. A holographic screen flickered to life, showing a video feed of me. My old self, sitting in this very office. Eyes tired, voice broken. "I just want to disappear," the version of me said. "I hate who I am. I want to be someone else. I don't care who. I just want to feel alive." Dr. Lee looked at me softly. "And we helped you. You chose a new identity. Isabella was your template." I shook my head violently.
No.
"That's not me. That's not what I meant." He stood and circled me slowly, like a scientist examining his creation. "But it worked, didn't it? You're beautiful, admired, confident. The world adores you now. Isn't that what you wanted?" Tears blurred my vision. "You took everything from me." His tone turned clinical. "No, Isabella. We simply reprogrammed the narrative you no longer wanted. We replaced your old memories, rewrote your digital history, and aligned your perception with your new identity. The final stage is acceptance." He tapped his tablet again. The lights dimmed further. Screens along the walls flickered to life, showing my transformation, stage by stage. Each clip showed me hair growing longer, voice softening, movements becoming graceful. At first, I was horrified, then entranced, because the longer I watched, the more natural it looked, like it had always been that way. Dr. Lee's voice lowered. "Your mind is powerful, Isabella. Once you believed the illusion, reality adapted. This is your truth now." I covered my ears. "Stop calling me that." He smiled faintly. "Your resistance is the last fragment of your old consciousness. Once it fades, you'll be complete." My heart raced. "I'll never let that happen." He pressed another button. The screens went black, and the hum deepened. I felt a pressure behind my eyes, like invisible fingers pressing into my thoughts. "Your neural implant is responding beautifully," he murmured. "Don't fight it. Just breathe." "Get out of my head," I screamed. But his voice echoed from everywhere now, from the speakers, the air, maybe even inside my skull. "It's time to embrace your design." I fell to my knees. Flashes of memories, fake or real, cascaded through me. Smiling in front of a mirror. Laughing with girlfriends. Modeling a new dress. Being Isabella. And beneath the horror, a small, traitorous warmth began to spread through me. Maybe she was right. Maybe she was happy. Maybe.
I was tired of fighting.
Dr. Lee crouched beside me, voice soft as a whisper. "You don't have to be him anymore. You don't even remember his name, do you?" My lips parted, trembling. And when I tried to say it, nothing came. Just silence. He smiled. "Good girl." My vision blurred. The last thing I saw before everything went white was my reflection in the glass wall, long hair, full lips, trembling in confusion and surrender. Not him. Her. I woke up in a white room. The air smelled sterile, and faint music drifted from hidden speakers, a slow, rhythmic melody that seemed to sync with my heartbeat. I tried to move, but my wrists were strapped to the bed. The restraints weren't tight, but they pulsed softly, almost comfortingly, as if they didn't want to hurt me, only hold me still. My mind felt foggy. The last thing I remembered was Dr. Lee's voice whispering, "Good girl." I looked down. The hospital gown wasn't a gown at all. It was a silk robe, pale pink, embroidered with my name, Bella.
No.
No, this wasn't real. I tugged at the straps, desperate, and whispered, I'm not her. I'm not her. But my voice betrayed me. Soft, lilting, delicate. A nurse entered, smiling gently. Good morning, Miss Bella. How are we feeling today? Where am I? I demanded. What have you done to me? She set a tray down beside me. You've been through a lot of stress, sweetheart. Dr. Lee says your integration process is almost complete. Integration? She nodded, checking the monitors. It's perfectly normal to resist a little at this stage. But soon you'll feel calm, whole, feminine. I shook my head violently. No, I'm not supposed to be this. Her eyes softened with pity.
You used to say that all the time.
But every time we brought you back, you looked in the mirror and smiled. You just don't remember it yet. I pulled harder at the straps. Let me out. Sure, she cooed, brushing a strand of hair from my face. You'll hurt yourself, Bella. And we can't have that. Then she injected something into the fore. A wave of warmth flooded my body. The panic dulled. The music grew louder, steady, hypnotic. I turned my head to the mirror across the room. For a moment, I didn't recognize the girl staring back. Long, glossy hair framed a face too perfect to be mine. Eyes lined in soft shimmer. Lips painted a gentle pink. But then she smiled. And the smile felt like mine. I shook my head, tears filling my eyes. Stop it. That's not me. That's not me. The nurse tilted her head. Then why does she look so happy? Her words echoed inside my skull, looping over and over. Why does she look so happy? Why does she look so happy? The music deepened, and faint whispers threaded through the melody. Be her. Let go. You are Bella. I screamed, but the sound came out as a whimper. My hands loosened against the straps, fingers trembling. Dr. Lee's voice came through the intercom. Excellent response. The consciousness split is almost resolved. Begin phase 3. The nurse smiled softly. Yes, doctor. She removed the fore and replaced it with a smaller device, pressing it gently against my temple. A faint pulse spread across my skin. And then I saw, not memories, images. A flood of sensations pouring into me like light through a cracked dam. Laughter. Lipstick. Soft hands brushing hair. Compliments. Confidence. Warmth. It was beautiful, horrifyingly beautiful. I tried to hold on to my old self, but the memories were slipping. His name. His voice. The sound of his laugh. All fading beneath this new ocean of color and comfort. When the nurse unstrapped me, I didn't run. I just sat there, trembling, staring at my reflection. Would you like to stand, Bella? She asked. My body moved on its own. My legs were shaky, but steady. The robe slipped slightly off my shoulder, revealing smooth skin. I caught a glimpse of my reflection again, and this time, I didn't look away. Dr. Lee entered quietly, his tone calm and soothing. There she is, he said. The woman you were meant to be. I'm not, I whispered weakly, but the conviction was gone. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Then tell me, what's your name? I opened my mouth. The old name was there, just beneath the surface, but it dissolved before reaching my tongue. All that came out was, Bella. The word hung in the air like a final breath. Dr. Lee smiled approvingly. Very good. Now look in the mirror, Bella. What do you see? I turned slowly. The girl in the mirror smiled, warm, confident, beautiful. I expected to feel horror, but instead I felt peace. I see. I hesitated, my heart racing. Me. The doctor nodded. Integration complete. A sudden rush of warmth filled my chest, and I didn't fight it this time. The fear melted into calm. The resistance dissolved into acceptance. Maybe this was always who I was meant to be. Maybe that other person, the scared, confused boy, was just a fragment of a dream I'd finally woken up from. The nurse whispered, Welcome back, Isabella. And this time, when I smiled, it felt real. When I left the clinic, The sun was shining. The air smelled different, sweeter, lighter, almost welcoming. Every step I took in my heels felt effortless, natural. I didn't even think about how I was walking anymore.
People smiled at me as I passed by.
Compliments drifted through the air. "Morning, Bella. Love that dress, girl. You look gorgeous today." Each word used to sting. Now, they felt comforting. Still, something deep inside me whispered faintly, distant, broken, like a voice calling through static.
"This isn't you."
I paused by a shop window and looked at my reflection. A young woman stared back, poised, glowing, confident. Her hair shimmered in the light, her expression calm. She looked perfect. But, for just a second, the glass flickered. I saw another face beneath it, my old one. Pale, frightened, begging. "Help me," he mouthed. My heart skipped a beat. I blinked, and the image vanished. Only Bella remained. My phone buzzed. "Isabella appointment reminder. 2 p.m., studio session." Without thinking, I opened the message thread. It was full of cheerful notes, schedules, photo shoots, and brand collabs. My fingers scrolled automatically, like muscle memory, until I saw one unread message buried deep in the list. It was from a strange number. "Unknown, you don't remember me, do you?" My chest tightened. Another message followed. "They lied to you. Come to the place where it all began." The address that appeared next made my stomach twist. It was my old apartment, the one from before. I stared at the message for a long time before I finally hailed a cab. When I reached the apartment, it was abandoned. Dust coated the windows, and the door hung slightly open. My heels clicked softly as I stepped inside. The air smelled stale. The walls were bare, except for one photo still clinging to a crooked nail.
It was a photo of me. The real me.
I walked toward it slowly, every instinct screaming that I shouldn't be here. The closer I got, the louder the whispers in my head became. Isabella's voice twisting and pleading. "Don't do this. You'll ruin everything. We're happy now." I grabbed the frame with shaking hands. My old face stared back, alive and full of stubborn hope. And behind me, in the reflection of the cracked glass, Isabella stood, smiling faintly. Her reflection didn't move when I did. "Why are you here?" I whispered. She stepped closer, her voice echoing like a dream. "To protect what we've built." "You're not real." She tilted her head. "Aren't I?"
"You made me."
"You let me in. You wanted freedom, remember?" "I didn't want this." She reached out, her reflection hand brushing mine through the glass. "You begged for a new life. You said you hated who you were. And now you're punishing yourself for getting it." My breath hitched. The memory of that night came rushing back. The fight with Isabella, the wish I made in anger, the experiment I agreed to without reading the fine print. I didn't mean for it to be forever. Her smile softened. "But it is. The moment you accepted me, I became real. And you," she paused, touching my cheek. "You faded." I stumbled back, clutching my head. No, I can't." The whispers surged again. The walls seemed to pulse. My reflection flickered between the two of us, him and her, until the room spun like a broken film reel. Then silence. The photo fell from my hands and shattered. When I opened my eyes again, everything was clear. A month later, I stood in front of a full-length mirror backstage at a fashion shoot. The photographers were setting up, lights flashing, stylists buzzing around me. "5 minutes, Bella," someone called. I smiled. "Got it." The woman in the mirror smiled back confidently. She adjusted her earrings, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and practiced a perfect pose. But as I leaned closer, I caught a faint glimmer behind her eyes. A shadow. A flicker of something, someone trying to surface. For just an instant, I heard it again. "Please remember me." Then it was gone. The director called my name again, snapping me out of it. I picked up my purse and stepped toward the lights. "Ready?" he asked. "Always," I said, with a smile that came far too easily. The cameras began to flash, capturing Isabella, beautiful, flawless, radiant. No one in that room knew that behind every pose, behind every perfect smile, Something else was still trapped. Watching. Waiting. But maybe that part didn't matter anymore. Because when I looked in the mirror one last time, I didn't see him at all. Only Bella. And she looked perfect. The studio lights were blinding, flashing across the room as cameras clicked and whirred. Everyone was smiling, clapping, calling out compliments. Bella, you're amazing. Perfect pose. Absolutely radiant. I laughed along, striking another pose, adjusting my hair. On the surface, everything was perfect. But deep inside, I felt a strange emptiness, a void where my old self used to live. As I walked off the set, my heels clicking against the polished floor, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in a nearby mirror. For a split second, something flickered. It wasn't Isabella, and it wasn't Bella either. It was him, my old self, the person I used to be, staring back at me with terrified eyes. I froze. The reflection smiled faintly, but it was a sad smile, not my own. Then it winked. My heart jumped. I blinked. The reflection returned to normal, Bella. But the flicker had been real. What was that? I whispered, clutching the edge of the mirror. The stylist leaned over. You okay, Bella? I forced a smile. Yeah, just dizzy for a second. She smiled back, but I could feel her eyes lingering on me a little too long. Too curious. After the shoot, I returned to my apartment. Everything looked as I remembered it, clean, orderly, and completely feminine. Yet nothing felt entirely mine. The apartment was a perfect cage. I sat on the couch, clutching my knees, staring at the floor. Then my phone buzzed. A new message flashed on the screen. Unknown. Enjoying your new life, Bella? I froze. My fingers hovered over the phone. The number was unfamiliar, but the tone, the way the words felt, sent a chill down my spine. Before I could respond, a second message appeared. Unknown. You think you're free, but someone always remembers. My reflection in the window caught my eye. I expected Bella, smiling and confident. Instead, I saw him again, my old self, standing behind the woman I had become. He looked desperate, terrified, and yet, oddly determined. I spun around. Nothing. My apartment was empty. I checked every corner, every room. Nothing. A laugh echoed softly through the space. Low, mocking, familiar. Not Bella. Not Isabella.
Mine.
I stumbled back, heart racing. The mirror flickered again. This time, I could see both of us. Bella in the foreground, confident and perfect, and him, shadowy and silent, lurking behind her. I pressed my hand against the glass. What do you want from me? The shadow leaned closer, its eyes piercing into mine. Then it whispered, I'm not gone. I'm just waiting. The lights flickered. The shadows in the room stretched, twisting across the walls like fingers reaching for me. My phone buzzed once more, this time with a video. I opened it. The video was taken from inside my apartment, footage of Bella, alone, smiling, unaware. But at the end of the clip, the camera shifted. The last frame froze on him, looking directly into the lens. Then the screen went black. I dropped the phone, gasping for air. The mirror reflected only Bella again. But I knew the truth. Somewhere inside me, my old self was still alive. Watching. Waiting. And I had no idea when or how he would try to come back. I sank to the floor, hugging my knees, trying to convince myself this was real, that Bella was permanent, that the past was gone. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. The story wasn't finished. And somewhere in the shadows of my mind, a single thought echoed. She may be perfect, but he's not gone. The camera outside my window caught a faint flicker of movement. A shadow passed across the glass, too fast to be human. I froze, staring. The final message pinged on my phone one last time. Unknown. Soon you'll remember. I screamed. The screen went black. And the world went silent.